Hello, everyone. In this video we will see what happens if environmental communication gone wrong. There are two case studies. The first case study is Catastrophe of Bhopal. The Bhopal disaster, also referred to as the Bhopal gas tragedy, was a chemical accident on the night of 2-3 December 1984 at the Union Carbide India Limited pesticide plant. It is also called UCIL. It is located in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, India. Accident caused 42 metric tons of the highly toxic methyl isocyanate, it is also called mic, made their way into the environment. The accident killed more than 10,000 people in the first 72 hours, 25,000 more deaths as a consequence of being exposed to the gas, 100,000 to 200,000 suffering from related diseases. This is considered the world's worst industrial disaster. Over 500,000 people in the small towns around the plant were exposed to the highly toxic gas mic. After the accident, the owner of the factory, UCIL, was majority owned by the Union Carbide Corporation of the United States. It is also called UCC, with Indian government-controlled banks and the Indian public holding a 49.1% stake. First, the company refused to accept responsibility for the accident. This is considered a defensive behavior by the company. Second, the company said the accident was caused by the sabotage of its employees, and it claimed that the safety system was in place and functioning normally, and that the company had done everything possible to alleviate the suffering of the victims after the disaster. Finally stated that the company was investigating sabotage but contradicted itself. About resolutions, the Indian government passed the Bhopal Gas Leak Act in March 1985, allowing the Government of India to act as the legal representative for victims of the disaster, leading to the beginning of legal proceedings. Initial lawsuits were generated in the United States federal court system. On the 17th of April 1985, Federal District Court Judge John F. Keenan, overseeing one lawsuit, suggested that fundamental human decency required Union Carbide to provide between $5 million and $10 million to immediately help the injured, UCC, on the notion that doing so did not constitute an admission of liability and the figure could be credited toward any future settlement or judgment, offered a $5 million relief fund 2 days later. The Indian government turned down the offer. Then Union Carbide Corporation agreed to pay $470 million for damages caused by the disaster. Original claims were $3 billion. The compensation benefited a total of 554,895 injured people and 15,310 survivors. The injured received $500 United States dollars, which is equivalent to 7 cents per day or 1 year of medical care. The settlement imposes a maximum per share charge of 50 cents from 1984 profits. Next case study is oil tanker Exxon Valdez. The Exxon Valdez oil spill occurred in Prince William Sound, Alaska, on March 24, 1989. Exxon Valdez, an oil supertanker owned by Exxon Shipping Company bound for Long Beach, California, struck Prince William Sound's Bligh Reef, 2.4 kilometers west of Totitlic, Alaska at 12:04 a.m. and spilled 10.8 million U.S. gallons or 37,000 tons of crude oil over the next few days. The Exxon Valdez spill is the second largest in U.S. waters, after the 2010 Deepwater Horizon oil spill, in terms of volume of oil released. After the accident, humans, animals and plants are harmed, because Prince William Sound's remote location, accessible only by helicopter, plane, or boat, made government and industry response efforts difficult and made existing response plans especially hard to implement. The oil, extracted from the Prudhoe Bay oil field, eventually affected 2,100 kilometers of coastline, of which 320 kilometers were heavily or moderately oiled. Residents of Valdez due to pollution. Hundreds of thousands of wild animals were killed, including seabirds, otters, seals, and orcas. Because this region is a habitat for salmon, sea otters, seals, and seabirds. After the accident, for the Exxon reaction to public first, Exxon failed to reduce public outrage, despite apologizing in public and later accepting responsibility for the pollution. Second, Exxon has failed to make effective arrangements to support the apology, showing that the company accepts responsibility for the disaster. Then, Exxon lost market share, its products were boycotted, and its reputation suffered. The company was criticized for refusing to acknowledge the magnitude of the problem and appearing equally valid. Company also indicated that there would be no long-term ecological consequences because no species were endangered. But efforts to contain the pollution were slow and Exxon's response was even slower. The first public statements were made 6 days after the spill and CEO Raul did not visit Valdez until 3 weeks later and CEO did not read the cleanup plans. Also, Rawls' responses were inconsistent and contradictory. Finally, the company had to pay for the cleanup as well as $1.1 billion, $7 billion in compensation fees and $5 billion in penalties. So based on these two main examples, we can see how important environmental communication management actually is, always aligned with product management, project management, top management, governance processes. The three key points are: first, environmental communication has to be planned, designed and established. Second, wrong or bad environmental communication can have a major impact on the economy on your company. Last, it's not just about what you say but also when, like, how fast and to whom, like, company need to manage their stakeholders well. Thank you.